I started the podcast 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there are people with incredible longevity, and not very many, but like Rogan as an example. I mean, the guy's a machine and he's very good at what he does. 10 years is also a long time for me, right? That's a long time to do one thing consistently. I'm going to continue doing the podcast, but from a growth perspective, I feel like YouTube is probably one of the more appealing avenues for growth currently, but offsetting that is a desire to increasingly be less publicly, visually recognized, because there are compromises that I've made related to that. There are safety issues, there are privacy issues, there's lots of weird stuff that happens. I'm not sure I want to, actually, I'm quite sure I do not want to make my face more recognizable. On the counter argument side, I know we're going all over the place.
No, dude, by the way, this is fire.
Okay, good.
This is fire.
Right,
Keep
cool.
going. I want to know.
On the counter argument side, and this is both a reason not to do YouTube, but also a reason maybe I'm over evaluating the risks. And I've talked to some folks, I don't want to name them, but very well-known, iconic writers, photographers, creators who did one thing very, very well. One thing. Which also makes me question sort of the jack of all trades approach that I think is, in some respects, a norm now, where you're present and growing on many, many different formats. But putting that aside for a second, the half-life of fame, I think, is going to drop precipitously as algorithm chasing becomes more and more dominant and more determinant of what is surfaced, in the sense that I would be shocked if there's ever again someone as dominant as, say, Oprah was for effectively, let's just call it, who knows, a third to a half of all the women in the United States, right? One person, one show. The sort of long tail of personalization, I think, has largely removed that possibility. And if you even think about like the personal half-life, which I think we can extract, like studying the micro to study the macro, because the macro can seem super intimidating and abstract and ungraspable. If you just think about your personal experience, and I've talked to friends about this, 10 years ago, if you got sent some crazy video from friends, like that video would stick around for a while, right? It might be the video that sticks around for like a week. Oh my God, do you see that crazy video of the thing? How many of those do you get per day now, right? Something that would win the gold medal of the meme Olympics crushes all of the stupid things that you would have looked at 10 years ago. Infinitely more attention grabbing. And the half-life is what? 30 seconds? 60 seconds? So I think fame as a phenomenon in most cases online will have a very, very short half-life. And that worries me a bit from a psychological adaptive perspective, because I think that means that has supreme implications for the sort of dopamine hit, like rat stepping on a cocaine pedal aspect of content creation, right? Like if what you do is less and less persistent, meaning it has less and less durability, like what game are you signing up for? And what does winning that game look like? These are really critical questions, right? Like, okay.
Yeah.
We're all playing games right now, like beyond food, shelter, a handful of things at the lower rungs of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. We're all playing games. Like what games are you playing? And just as important, like what does winning that game or those games look like? And is that the life you want? And so looking at how things are developing, and maybe this is a very fancy way of rationalizing just being older and more fatigued, I don't know. But I find where things are trending super, super worrisome. So if I could be long a number of things, I'd be like, okay, mental health therapeutics, dialysis, which seems pretty dystopian, but like I would be very long those things. I think we haven't even seen a glimpse of some of the mental health challenges that are on the horizon. So probably a long answer to a very short question, but that informs, I think, a certain, it's not just calmness, although there's a lot that goes into that on my side compared to my earlier self, but a not wanting to rush into committing at high speed in certain directions that are very appealing right now at face value. I'm like, you know what? If you have, here we go. I'm going to shut the fuck up in a second. It's like, here's the thing. If I think about the authors I respect the most, if I think about the filmmakers I most aspire to be like or admire the most, they're not playing a volume game, right? Like Miyazaki, who just put out, I think it's The Boy and the Heron. The Japanese name is like How Do You Live? It's a totally different name, but they put out great work that is uniquely their own. You watch that movie, and if you've seen other Studio Ghibli Miyazaki movies, you're like, that is the signature. That could not be anyone other than Miyazaki, right? You see like a Daniel Day-Lewis film. There's so many examples of this. These people have unique capabilities they've harnessed. They don't need to rush, right? So if I find myself feeling compelled to rush, either it's a false signal I should ignore, or I'm about to do something that a lot of other people could do. And that for me is a cue to really chill the fuck out and be like, wait a second. Let me go back. Let me read Blue Ocean Strategy. Let me go back. Let me read 80-20 Principle. Let me go back and read any number of things. I mean, I do like reading. Let me go back and watch these following documentaries about people who really took an unorthodox path. Okay. And then let me sit down and ask, why do I feel like I am compelled to rush? So there you have it.
Bro, that was fucking fire.
Thanks. This has been on my mind nonstop for the last couple of months.